Sandro here from Carcraft Auto Detailing in Melbourne. Today's video is a look at metal polishing and restoration in relation to car, motorcycles and marine parts and components such as rims, bumpers, grills and trims. This is not to be mistaken with 95% of car rims that are painted in a metal colour or new car metal rims and trims that have a clear coat applied over the naked metal. Painted wheels and clear coated metal need to be approached the same way you would polish and restore your car's paint. If you're unsure whether the surface is bare metal or clear coated, just use a microfiber cloth with any polish and rub it on the surface. If the polish on the cloth stays the same colour, it's clear coated. If it turns to a dark grey colour, it's bare metal. Also, just like paint, all metals are different, from softer cast aluminiums to harder forged alloys, steel and super hard chromes. The constant, however, is that it's a time-consuming and very messy medium to work with, leaving me sometimes looking like a coal miner at the end of their shift. So let's have a look at some of the products, tools and techniques I use to restore metal, from heavy oxidation and scratch removal to compounding, polishing and restoring brilliance to metal parts. Metal, in comparison to paint, is a far harder surface, and when it comes to heavy defect removal, it requires a more aggressive approach. But just like paint, when it comes to heavy defect removal, leveling the surface with the use of sanding or similar methods results in a faster, more effective and superior finish than trying to attack these heavy defects with compounding and polishing alone. So when approaching badly oxidized, rusted and scratched metals, I use a variety of these tools depending on the particular part I'm restoring. Handheld steel and brass brushes are an effective way to remove rust and embedded foreign materials, and a variety of large and smaller sizes comes in handy for most parts. Far quicker and more effective is using rotary driven wire brushes on drills and smaller tools such as a Dremel. And unlike handheld brushes, which are effective for above surface contaminants, rotary brushes also have the ability to lift oxidation and level deeper scratches. However, always keep in mind that although effective, these are aggressive tools that should be used sparingly and only for severely defected metals, as they will leave significant scratches behind that will take several steps to remove. Also handy are these scuffing pads that come in heavy, medium and light abrasive grades to take on more light to moderate defects and oxidation. They are great for getting into tight curves and can be used wet for less aggression. More often than not, when tackling metal that is beyond compounding, I tend to use sanding. The great thing about sandpaper is its consistency compared to wire brushes, and also knowing that I can remove 200 grit scratches with 400 grit, and 600 can remove 400 grit, and so on, all the way up to 3000 grit, which I know I can compound out. It's a system that can restore most metals to a like-new condition. The drawbacks are that it takes quite a bit of time, and unlike wet sanding paint that gives you a decent life out of your sandpaper, metal tends to eat through sandpaper and discs at a rapid rate, especially on finer grades, which makes it a costly procedure as well. On larger surfaces, I use a 3-inch dual action polisher with 3-inch sanding discs, and when I move on to the finer grits, I use water and an interface pad for less aggression and more of an even finish around curves. For tighter edges and seams, I love the Rupes Nano. This can be used with 2-inch sanding discs as well as 1-inch discs on its dedicated sanding backing plate. It's fantastic for rims and many other smaller trims as well. For super sharp and tight edges, the Dremel tool is fantastic. With both vertical and horizontal sanding wheels and discs, there is very few areas that I can't access or work on with the Dremel, especially with the extender attachment. But when needed, sanding paper wrapped around a hard or soft sanding pad is a good option. But honestly, machine sanding will always produce faster, more even and superior results to sanding by hand, and is also safer when used in conjunction with a little experience. These drill-driven sanding wheels can also come in handy for certain metal parts, and they have much better durability than sanding discs, However, their finish is not quite as good and they aren't available in finer grits. Now onto compounding. For metals with only light to moderate defects, or for following on after sanding, compounding the metal to prepare it for polishing is vital. And again, as metals are far harder surfaces than paints, the compounding needs to be more aggressive in relation to pads and polishing wheels, as well as compounds and machine use. For a greater amount of cut, these sisal, wool and cloth-driven wheels, cones and buffing attachments, together with the use of block metal compounds, are very capable of removing moderate oxidation and scratches, and can finish down quite well, especially on harder metals. Although great for sharp corners and smaller parts, they tend to lose their effectiveness quickly, and the contact area is quite small, making larger jobs counterproductive for my particular use. Also is the issue of controlling the drill, which is far harder than using a buffer or dual action polisher, which also produce more even finishes. And unlike rotary and DA pads, which can be cleaned and reused, these drill-driven attachments don't respond well to cleaning and are more or less disposable, making them quite expensive. So for these reasons, when possible, I much prefer using car compounding pads and polishing tools. Also great for rims in particular are these cloth and foam drill driven balls and cones that can get into areas even my smallest polisher can't, and the yellow Meguiars cone in particular is both user friendly and extremely durable. Although there is an abundance of auto metal polishers that are great for finishing and jeweling metals, you will struggle to find many metal compounding products by these manufacturers that are capable of removing defects. One such product is Meguiars Heavy Cut Metal Polish. It's very capable of lifting moderate oxidation and removing 2,000 to 3,000 grit marks when used in conjunction with wool, microfiber or foam cutting pads. It has a fairly short work time, but that can be extended with a little spray of water. It will finish to a dull haze, but a finer metal polish should quite easily remove those compounding scratches. A favourite product of mine for many years is Quick Glow. I love this metal polish for its capability and adaptability. It's quite capable of lifting moderate rust and oxidation, as well as dealing with medium to light scratches when used with more aggressive compounding pads. But switch to a polishing or softer pad and this product can finish down exceptionally. For me personally, it's the Shoals Concepts S20 of the metal polishing world. Just as impressive is California Customs Purple Metal Polish. Although it has a little less cut than Quick Glow, it makes that up in its brilliant finish that can rival many of the dedicated finishing polishers. It's my go-to all-in-one metal polish for defect removal, finishing and protecting, as it leaves a sealant behind on the surface. Autosol Metal Polish is a product that most of us have used at one time or another. It's also the cheapest product here at about $10 for this tube, or even cheaper when bought in bulk. As far as value versus performance, it's the winning product here. It's not the most capable defect removal, nor does it finish down the best, but it finds that great balance of the two and delivers a fantastic and affordable product. Lastly, onto the more common finishing metal polishes. These products generally contain super fine to no abrasives and rely more on chemicals to lift mold oxidation and both refine and fill mold scratches and defects with a sealant left behind. Honestly, it's been a while since I've bought a Mother's product. Not because I don't think they're any good, it's just I've never really had that wow factor after using one of their products. But a little while ago, I saw this tin of mag and aluminium polish, felt daring, and I bought it. I wouldn't say it's a bad product, but all things considered, I wouldn't say it's a great product either. This will improve the finish, slightly oxidized and marred metals, and it does restore shine. But up against any one of these other polishes, for me, it just fails short in obtaining any real wowness in its result. Similar is my experience with Autoglym products. However, I do really like their metal polish. This is pretty much a low to no abrasive polish, but is very capable in dealing with tarnished metal, and I really love its finish. it does restore a nice brilliant shine to the metal. Very similar in its chemistry is Meguiars all metal polish. Again, this has very little if any abrasives in it, but it does lift mold oxidation and finishes the metal beautifully. But in my eyes, the Autoglym is just a touch better. Last but not least is Wenol metal polish. Since I first tried it many years ago, I still to this day have not used a metal polish that finishes to such clarity and brilliance. Don't get me wrong, it's not like it's leaps and bounds ahead of something like California Customs Purple, which the Wenol just can't match in its defect removal. It's just when you're chasing that last few percent of brilliance and shine, the Wenol just sneaks over the line first. And just a couple of quick tips before I wrap this up. 4-0 grade steel wool, used with your favourite metal polish, can produce some excellent oxidation removal action, which followed up by the use of just a microfiber cloth and the polish can finish down very well. And lastly, polishes are polishes, so don't limit yourself to only using a product with the word metal on it. I've used many paint polishes to work on metal with fantastic results. Scholl's S0 and S20 amongst two of my favourites. So be daring, experiment and have fun with them. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe to show your support, and I'll hopefully see you in the next video.